All right, so I'm doing something a little bit different here on this video. So as you know, I do Speakdoms every Saturday or almost every Saturday on World of Geekdom. And Speakdoms are basically my way to kind of give off like and tell what's on my mind, like release what's on my mind and talk about what's on my mind publicly, and also try to help people. But I figure what I would do is, because y'all have been there for me for a long time, whether it be 5 years ago when I first started or just even a few months ago, whenever you started, following the channels, it really means a lot to me. Like, if it wasn't for you, there would be no me. And I just feel very humbled. And I figure in 2020, I would want to give back to my audience. So, I did used to be a life coach actually about 12 years ago, and I only did it for a couple of years because I realized I had to go work on myself as well. So I wound up not doing that anymore, but I wanted to give back now that I have this platform. So what I did was, over on the official Geekdom 101 Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Geekdom101, I decided to reach out and have you ask me questions that you would like me to address and topics you want me to address on Speakdom videos, and kind of help you through whatever you're going through. So, I'm going to give you my perspective and what I think you should do. And of course, it's up to you as to whether or not you want to follow it. But if you choose to, I'm not going to give you bad advice. At least I don't think it's bad advice. It's my advice. But I really want to give back by doing this. And if you're out there and you did not get to ask a question, that's okay, because I might do more of these depending on how this one does and if people like it. And and again, if maybe if you didn't ask your question, something that you would have asked might already have been asked by one of the people who asked. So again, let's go ahead and dig right into it. Not going to take up a lot of time. We're going to start here with Kevin. Well, let me take that back. The video is probably going to be long because I'm going to get to all these questions. But understand that I'm going to... Yeah, anyways, I'm getting to it right now is what I'm saying. Enough with the intro. Let's get right into it, okay? So Kevin writes, I really need to quit my job. It drains my soul. When I get home, I only have time to eat, then fall asleep, and I don't even sleep good. I wake up 2 or 3 times every night, obviously due to the stress. I've been taking courses to capacitate myself to do something else, but I can't even do that. I arrive to classes far too tired to understand anything. And my loved ones say I have to stay in this job because I earn good money. It's true. My boss is good to me and it's comfortable. It's not true. All right, so I'm going to discuss a couple of things here. So first and foremost, okay, I've been here before. That whole thing about you wake up 2 or 3 times at night. I had a job once around 2012 or 2011. I had a job where, it was 2011. I literally would have dreams about this job, nightmares. I would go to dinner and I would only talk about the job, like, negatively, and it really messed with me, and I did wind up quitting that job. So based on what you're telling me, it all comes down to how much you can endure and your situation. So I don't know enough about you to answer this, but if you have children, that changes things. If you have a family to take care of, that changes things. If you're single, it's a little bit easier. The first thing you have to understand, okay, the first thing is, you do have a responsibility to pay your bills. However, you also, as a human being, do not deserve to be miserable at your job. So if there's something you can do to move to a different spot in the company, if there's something you can do to get a better position in your job, better hours, or, something, I would try to do that by talking to your superiors. Now, if you have decided beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're going to quit this job and you just want out, the first thing you got to do is analyze your financial situation and see if you have an emergency fund. If you've got an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses, preferably closer to 6 months in this case, and you have, confidence in yourself that you can find another job that pays as good, if not close to it, or maybe even more. Jobs are out there, man. It's just not that easy to find sometimes unless you really dig in. Get your resume going now. Work on your resume. Work on, fixing everything up and whatnot. Getting it nice and polished. And then what I would do is start sending your resume out, right? And start looking, seeing what you can find, seeing what jobs, what they pay, doing some research. Do that first. And if you are able to get an interview, and get multiple interviews, hopefully, then that would at least be something to where you can look forward to interviewing with these companies. And in which case, if you have to leave your current job, you at least know you've got that snowball effect going on. You know what I mean? I would get with some staffing firms too, because they really helped me a lot when I was in IT. But don't quit your job right away. I'm going to tell you that, just being honest with you, unless you've got buku amounts of money in the bank and you can do that, I would not quit the job right away. If you don't have your emergency fund ready, I would build up to it in the next month or two if possible. You're going to have to cut back on expenses as much as possible. You're going to have to eat at home more. You know, if you're a Starbucks person, make your own coffee at home. It's only temporary though. It's only temporary. You know, this is not a permanent thing. And then from there, you know, you're already doing the right thing because you said you try to take courses to you know, capacitate. That's a big word for me, bro. To do something else, but you know, and I understand that you're stressful from your job. So if you need to take a break from work, I understand that, but I want you to understand that you got to have an emergency fund just in case, man. You've got to have it. And if you choose to leave the right way. Don't leave like in an angry way, unless the company actually does some real screwed up things to you, which has happened before. But what I'm saying is this: if you're gonna leave, plan for it. Be ready. Have money in the bank in case you can't get another job. You have to be able to quickly rebound and be able to be able to have money in the bank to pay your bills while you are job hunting. Because when you're job hunting and you have no job, it's easier because you have more free time and you can do interviews during the day instead of having to go to work during the day. But if you're going to do that, make sure you have money saved up. So that's the best I can answer that question without asking deeper into your personal life. Next question from KC Burgos. Looking to purchase my first home pretty soon. Would love some advice on getting prepared for it. And I wrote, I got you, bro, because I just did that. So couple things. You want to get a really good realtor, all right? Somebody who you think you can trust. Find a realtor who's asking you a lot of questions about what you want, right? Versus what you think you want. Also, if you're going to buy a home and live in it, okay, number one, if you live in it, there are some states that give you a tax credit if you live in a home. So if you've got multiple homes and you want to rent them out or whatever, you could only do it for one of the homes. It's called, I think it's called what's it called? It's an income tax credit. I don't remember the exact name. You can ask your realtor. So remember that. That's very important, number one. Number two, make sure you gauge your finances to make sure that you can actually afford the home. Don't buy a house that you can't afford, okay? Buy a house that you can pay for your mortgage on under your means. So if you make, $100,000 a year, for example, you can probably afford to buy a home that's like $200,000 a year, $300,000 a year. I wouldn't go past that. You know what I'm saying? Even if you got kids. You got to shop around, but also it depends on where you live, because remember, I live in Florida. You might live in California. Homes are very expensive over there, but also you should be making more money. That's number one. Number two, when it comes to like getting a mortgage or whatever with your bank, I would try to go for making as big a down payment as possible. They say 5%, 10%. I would go for like 20 if possible. The important thing is save up as much as you can. And the third thing is, when you actually get the home, pay it off as fast as possible. You have no idea how much money the bank will take from you interest-wise. They will jack you, bro. And it's not even like they're doing it to be malicious, but they're lending you money. You got to pay back interest. That's how it is whenever you get a loan. But mortgages, if your home costs $300,000, right? That's how much the value of the home is, and you end up paying it the entire 30-year mortgage, you're paying $800,000 for that house, homie. And there's ways you can leverage it and things like that if you're going to be doing real estate, but that's not what you asked me. You asked me about you buying a home. The important thing is, don't settle. Like, shop around, and also, go online, look around, go to the home, make sure you do research on the home, make sure that things look according to plan. Also, very important, if you're going to have an inspection, hire your own inspector. Do not use the inspector that the people who own the home give you, or the realty company. No, hire your own inspector. It's going to cost some money, but you need to do that because you got to make sure you're not going to get ripped off, man. People out there are shysters. So that's a very important thing there. Also, remember location. If you buy a home farther away from the mainland of the city, it's going to end up being less expensive most of the time. Where I live right now is pretty far away from like the center of the city. I could have got the exact same house that I have now, almost exactly the same, right? Not exact same, but almost exactly the same. And it would have cost me $100,000 more if I bought it in the city as opposed to being in the outskirts of it. So you may have to take a hit and commute a bit longer for your job, you might have to do that, but you might end up saving a ton of money as well on the actual value of the home. But buying a home is a great investment, even if you choose not to live in it forever, because homes always increase in value. And you can always rent it out, or you can always sell it whenever you feel like you want to leave. So I guess that's good basic advice. Don't settle though. Alex Turner says jealousy and comparing yourself to others in your life would be a helpful one. We shouldn't do it, but we do it sometimes. For sure. I mean, envy and jealousy is something that a lot of human beings deal with. A lot of it being because of the fact that we feel like life has slighted us. We feel like life has been unfair to us. There's Speakdom recently about life being unfair. And as a result of that, a lot of it comes from fear. Like whenever you're envious of somebody else or jealous of them, it's pretty much fear, because you feel like you're inadequate. You feel like there's a reason as to why someone else is better than you at whatever they do, or more successful, perceived more successful. And, whether it be with women or money or whatever, doesn't matter. And basically, you will look at it and just kind of be like, damn, like, why is that not me? And a lot of that is vanity and ego. That's what it is. It's something that we all kind of deal with. Now, me personally, I've never really been a jealous person, but there's been times in the past, like when I was younger, that I was. The main thing is to build up your own self-confidence and self-esteem, and to always remember that you are important. You bring something to the world that's valuable, that can help people. And even if you don't know what that is yet, there is something you bring. And as long as you keep that mentality, the world is not going to screw with you. Now, this might take training. But, and when I say screw with you, I mean screw with your mind, not screw with you like, because the world will screw with you, right? Life will screw with you. But I mean, you'll be able to deflect all that mentally, if you just focus on the important things that you can give. Victor Reeves writes, this may be a minor problem compared to some of the others, but I could definitely use some advice on how to build a proper foundation for a relationship from a friendship. Well, that's the thing, man. If you're looking to cross into a relationship from a friendship, number one, you have to accept the fact that she might not, or he, whatever you're into, they might not want that. They might only see you as a friend. Now, if there is romantic interest there, then you've already built a foundation. If this is a real friendship, and that friendship is built on trust, then at the end of the day, you've already gotten the foundation there. Trust is a very important foundation. So really, that's the beautiful thing. Analyze whether or not it's a real friendship, and if it is a real friendship and you're in love with her, or you're attracted to her, maybe the feeling is mutual, and in which case you can build a beautiful relationship. I feel like the best relationships are those that come from friendship, because it's one of those things where when you have that kind of relationship that's a real friendship, the honeymoon phase comes and goes, homie. And what happens is, after the honeymoon phase, you have to have a real friendship, a strong bond, and commonalities to keep you and her together and to keep that spark going. You know what I'm saying? So you're already doing it. I mean, I don't know what else I can tell you. You already got the foundation. Mario Morales writes, if you have advice on how to maximize output of creative and thoughtful content while also maintaining the quality as well as your sanity, I would love to hear it. Well, maintaining your sanity is very hard, because, and this is a truth that people don't want to address, but I will tell you, this goes for YouTubers, musicians, artists, entertainers, comedians. People who are very creative are kind of crazy. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that because it's the truth. People who have a career in creativity, they are a little nutty, because they are hyper focused, hyper driven, and they are very hypersensitive to a lot of things. Not all of them, of course, we're generalizing here. So I feel like maintaining your sanity might not be something you can really do except by going to counseling and unplugging sometimes. That's one thing you can definitely do. And there's other ways too, meditation. I personally have had issues with that myself. But everything that you're doing, like as far as maintaining the quality, I can see why your quality would dip, as long as you're just smart enough to kind of see, and self-aware enough to see that, hey, my quality is dipping, let me fix this, and you'll be able to tell that by interacting with your audience and listening to those that care about you. Don't listen to the haters, listen to those that actually care about you, because they'll give you good advice. But like me. But yeah, as far as your sanity, I don't know about that one, but really the important thing is to love what you do. All right, Melvin writes, it's weird talking about my problems. Let's see, last year's been a trip. I had a decent job, got laid off, been there before. Moved out because my girlfriend was cheating on me and she's been holding my kid from me. Well, that's a real serious problem, bro. I have been working and going to school. Then decided to quit my job because it was wearing me out between the two. Well, I don't blame you, bro. You're going through a downward spiral so far. I have about an hour commute drive, and it got to a point I'd be so exhausted I'd be sleeping in my car because after a 16-hour day with an hour drive ahead of me seemed rough. Hell yeah, that's rough, huh? I've done that before, dude. In 2009, I remember I had a job where I had to drive an hour and a half to work every morning, sometimes 2 hours depending on traffic. And it destroyed me, dude. And I'm talking about I had to wake up at 4 in the morning because I had to get there at like 6 a.m. You know, that's when my shift started, when I had to get my work. So I've been here. Like, that's why I like doing these, because like I can relate to you. While living up in my dad, it's been more of a rough lifestyle. It's on top of a mountain in bumfuck nowhere. My power goes out frequently. Water has been shut off due to freezing, raining water. I've had to do my laundry and take showers in town. Top it all off, I receive zero state assistance even though I'm taking care of an 80-year-old man. I'm grateful enough to have my son and dad who look up to me. It's just tough, I guess. Well, you've got a tough situation, for sure. Well, first of all, it sounds like what's happening to you is a series of unfortunate events. I'm sorry about your girlfriend cheating on you, because that's bullshit, honestly. And your job, you said you got laid off and you got another job that you don't like or whatever. The first thing you have to do is understand that you're a tough motherfucker, because you've been through a lot. So at the very least, you can go to sleep at night knowing that you are still trying to be a role model for your son and that your dad respects you, from what you're saying. So at the very least, you know that your kid's probably not going to end up seeing he might see a negative side of you, but that's not going to be it. He's going to know that his father was a very driven man, a very from the way you're describing yourself anyways. I don't know you personally, but it just seems like you're somebody who's really trying and wants better conditions for his kid. You're not one of those assholes who bails on their kids. You know what I'm saying? So that's already commendable as it is. That's already something you should be proud of. I understand where you're coming from, though, about the long hours. And I would constantly be looking for a job closer to home, if possible. I gave some advice earlier about getting your resume going. You don't want to quit your jobs without having, like I said before, you got to have the emergency fund. The emergency fund is, let me clarify the emergency fund thing. It's not just there in case of an actual emergency. That's a nickname for it. It's there if you are so stressed out at your job that it's cutting into your health, that, or you're working so many hours that you got to find a new job. It's there for that reason, so that you have the money to say, okay, I can quit my job tomorrow, find a better job. It might take a month, but I might find a better job, but I'm going to be okay because I have money saved up. That's the important thing. And of course, you can go on unemployment if you want to, but that's usually, if you quit a job, you can't get unemployment, but also that doesn't end up paying all the bills, especially if you have a kid. So the important thing is to save up a lot of money, cut some expenses down. You're going to have to tell the kid, if he wants to go to Disney World or whatever, maybe hold off for a year or so, maybe a few months. You tell him, I'll take you later on, and kind of, build up your currency. Don't invest it. Even though I think you should be investing money. I've said that a lot, but in this case, we're trying to get you out of this problem first. And then I would already start looking for a job. Like, don't quit, but just start looking for a job that's closer to home and see if you can find it. You're just going through a rough patch in life, bro, but things will get better, especially if you keep working. Christian Rollins says, in relation to Seth Rollins, I would say anxiety. My life isn't bad. I have loving girlfriend, kids, not a bad place to live, a job, a car. Sometimes I just focus on my problems and I can't function. YouTube or sports help at home, but it's hard to deal with at work. Thanks for making Speakdoms on your content. Well, I have a lot of anxiety, and a lot of times my anxiety fucks with my brain. You know what I mean? It really does. So, as far as fixing anxiety, one thing that's actually helped me out, and I haven't talked about this in a Speakdom yet, it's my first time talking about it, is, and it's going to sound weird, but drinking tea. Like, I bought one of those Keurig machines, and I use it to, it's a coffee maker, but it can also make tea. I use it to drink a lot of green tea, black tea, and like this ginseng turmeric tea, and it really calms me down. I've been taking it lately, and it's really, really helpful. So just something practical like that. The important thing is, though, your girlfriend, you don't want to lean on her too much, but she's there for you for a reason. And if you ever have anxiety, it's always a good idea to talk to her, because a good supportive woman can make any man a superhero. You know what I'm saying? And if she's there for you and she's always, they always there to make you feel better, then that's a good chick. And that's something you could always rely on her for it. I mean, when a woman has anxiety, she'll come to her man. It's the same thing with you, so don't be afraid to talk to her about it. But it's one of those things where, anxiety sucks, and sometimes you can't even control it, right? The important thing is to breathe, and also, if you have high anxiety, and maybe you think you might have depression, if you think it's that serious, you might want to look into some alternative forms of medicine. Medicinal marijuana might be helpful for you. You got to go through a doctor for that, depending on whether it's legal in your state. But it's really, really helpful as far as clearing up the brain and kind of making you more chill. Those kind of things actually help a lot. But I understand if you have a kid, it can be stressful too. I hope that helps. If not, let me know, and we'll do another one. We'll do more of these. This is from Bradley. This is my third attempt writing this, so I guess I'll just be straightforward. How did you go about finding your passion and calling in life? By accident. That's the truth. It feels like every day I wake up and go to work, just another wasted day of slavery to corporate America. Hell yeah. And I just seem to struggle finding the true passion in anything. Everything feels like a pipe dream, and maybe that's due to self-confidence issues, but I guess that's what I'm asking is, what advice would you be willing to give someone on finding their true self and their passion in life? I think I've talked about this in a Speakdom before. The first key to finding out your passion is to actually sit down and figure out what you're passionate about. Because you have to be passionate about something, right? There's got to be something that you enjoy doing, right? It's this simple. Find something you enjoy doing, and then see if you can get paid to do it. That's essentially the best advice. It sounds very simple, but if you enjoy doing magic tricks, then you should try to be a magician. Why not? I mean, I don't know much about that career, but I'm saying, that's the first example I can give, So just find out what you want to do, or what you like to do, and then see if you can figure out a way to get paid for it. That's the main thing. So I don't know if I can help you as far as telling you what that is, because I don't know you. Like, you would have to think about that on your own, but that's the first sort of step. But at the very least, that most Americans are definitely in the same spot as you are, and many of them are dreamers, and many of them do have pipe dreams that might never come true. But I've always been a firm believer that if things are meant to be and you work hard for them, it'll happen. If they're not meant to be, then at the very least, you'll find something that is meant to be. You know what I mean? I do feel that way. So figure out what you want to do, and then look into see how you get paid for it. That's the best kind of thing I can think of right now. Because you're saying you're finding a hard time to find true passion in anything, but there's got to be something. Like, even if it's far-fetched, even if it's like, I want to be a fighter pilot, which doesn't even exist anymore like it used to, there's got to be something you want to do. Stefan Dos Santos, how to stress less too, maybe like before, during an exam. Well, I actually did a Speakdom already on that. It was on how to pass an exam. And the main thing is to get good sleep and to write down, like, when you study, if you read a book, actually write it down, because the transistors going from your eyes to your hand and then back up to your brain are much stronger, and you'll remember things more if you write them down, especially if you write them down multiple times. That works for me. So that's what I would say. Justin Vega says, betting on yourself and working on your own, not knowing if you're going to make it. How do you get the confidence in taking that risk? Some people play it safe with corporate jobs, but how did you decide to leave that world to pursue a career of your own, not knowing if it can all end tomorrow? Do you have things in place in case things don't pan out? All right. This YouTube thing that I do full time now was a complete accident. I first started doing content in 2015, and I did it for fun. I didn't even make a penny on it for a year. And then I realized I could actually make some serious money doing it a year in, but it wasn't really that much money. Because when you first start out on YouTube, you're not making any money, dude. You ain't making nothing when you first start out. But after a while, I realized, like, okay, if we can keep this momentum going, I might be able to do it full time. And so I actually got fired from my job in December of 2015 over some bullshit. I don't even know why I got fired to this day. I've told that story before. And basically, I decided to try it. Like, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to try this YouTube thing full time. And if if I can make a living at this, I'll stick around. If I can't, then I'll go back to IT because I have my degree. So yes, to answer your last question, I do still have certifications and experience in IT engineering, and I could always go back and do that. I just don't want to because I didn't really like it that much, especially in the tail end of my career doing that, and because I like doing this a lot more. Plus, the money's actually better here than there, and for a while it wasn't, but it is now. So that's my story, right? Now, as far as getting the confidence to take the risk, it was more so one of those things where it got beaten out of me, dude. Like, after I had worked at IT for so long, it just got beat out of me, dude. After a while, you lose your passion for what you do, like as far as that career goes. And that's when I kind of realized that this is not really my final fate because I don't love it anymore. I don't know if that makes sense, but and also YouTube didn't exist when I was younger. Otherwise, I would have done it a lot earlier than this probably. But that's my story. So the thing is, though, I always maintained in my back of my head, like I've always said, is I had money saved up just in case. You always gotta save your money, dude. I've been talking about this a lot. Save your money, man. You gotta be frugal sometimes because sometimes life calls on it. Depends on it. Being happy in general. Well, I'm going to do a separate video about that because being happy is also somewhat of a myth because you can't really be permanently happy. You can only be happy temporarily because life will always throw obstacles at you. You can be content, but you're not going to be happy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 or 360 a year. It's not going to happen. But it's more about being content than being happy. Nick James Wilson, having a good balance of work life and home life. Well, I actually don't. I actually screwed that up myself a few times. So maybe I'm not the best person to ask about that because I'm a workaholic. But yes, you should figure out a way to unplug from your work as much as possible. Don't screw up like me and so many others have. We've messed up a lot in the past when it comes to this and hurt some of our friendships and relationships. You got to do it, man, because you don't want to lose your marriage or lose your friendships or lose your connection with your kids or whatever, your parents, over your career. But there are some people who are very driven who choose to make that choice. And, it's all about sacrifice. I just speak to them about it a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, I feel like that it's a tough one. But you have to just be disciplined and maybe make a schedule for yourself. That, to me, has always worked out. Scott Hay says that everyone has their own path to enlightenment, and that's about it. The journey getting there and not the destination. Well, that's a very insightful thing you said there. Ryan says, you're not the only one. Sometimes I'm angry at the world. However, it's not healthy, though. I don't know if he's talking to me or somebody else. Well, I mean, I've been angry at the world a lot, but, that's a different. I talked about that already. Do a speak them on whether or not there indeed is someone out there for everyone. Oof. I think there's actually multiple people out there for everyone. So, like, you'll sit there, right, and you'll be in love with this girl, and you'll think she's the only one for you. And then, like, a few years go by, relationship falls apart, then you find another girl who's even better for you. And you want to know why? Because as human beings, we're always in the constant state of growing. We're either progressing or regressing. And the person who you are now is not the same person who you will be in 10 years or who you were 10 years ago. The kind of girls that you like now are not going to be the same as the ones you're going to like in the future. Maybe physically you might like brunette or like booty or, big legs, boobs, whatever you're into, right? That might not change. But as far as like personality and what it is you can actually cope with and what it is you can actually, accept about a person, that's what's going to change. When I was younger, all I wanted to do was get laid. That's all I cared about. And if she wasn't giving me what I wanted, I wouldn't want to be with her. That's how I was when I was younger. That's the truth. A lot of guys are like that. But as you grow older, you start wanting that companionship more, and you're going to want somebody who's going to be more nurturing for you and take care of you more. I'm just talking about myself here. So because that always changes and people are always changing, you have an ever-changing algorithm like YouTube. of people who you bond with. So yes, I think there's multiple people out there for you, and you're not gonna hear that shit from anybody, from any fortune cookie. Yo, I'm hitting you with some real life isms right now. That's the reality of the world, homie. Doing your passion or just at grinding being kind of miserable. Well, I sometimes it's miserable. If you're doing your passion, you should not be miserable, but you're gonna have hard days at the office. So sometimes I have been miserable in the past, but just understand that if you're passionate about something, that passion will get you through being miserable. If not, then maybe it's not something you're really passionate about. Maybe you gotta look for something else. Dom Sly says, not sure if you did a video on this, but I think something to see a video about accepting inherent risks in order to move forward in life. Stagnation equals death. I think I have, but I'll do another one if you want. So, Stefan says, how do you make new friends? It depends on where you live. It depends on if you're in college. It should be very easy. If you want to make online friends, there's groups on Facebook and groups on Discord and servers you can join and places you can chat rooms and whatnot. It's not that hard. Just find people with common interests. In real life, again, you might have to go out and find like places that are like-minded, that you find people who, you know, maybe libraries, places where you'll find people who are like you. The only thing is, obviously, we as human beings, we don't want to go around bothering others. And the truth is, the older we get, the harder it is for us to make new friends, because we're older, we're more jaded. We made, excuse me, most of our friendships when we were younger, and some have stuck around, some haven't. But it does tend to get harder the older you get, because you don't want to fuck around with people, bro, and you tend to kind of, you know, leave them be. But if you're looking to make new friends, really you shouldn't be focused on making new friends. Like, it's gonna sound weird, but you shouldn't like try to force it, is what I'm saying. Don't force it. It should happen naturally. You just have to put yourself in the right position, you know, with the right people. Daniel Paul Despres says, losing friends thanks to politics. I've lost several. It's annoying, and I'll be real with you, they're not really your real friends, dude. Don't hate when I say that, but I've got friends of mine who are Trump supporters. I have friends of mine who are not. I have liberal friends. I have conservative friends. I have atheists, Jews, Muslims. I've got all kinds of friends, and I would never give them up for any other kind of friends. So they're just not your real friends, bro. Those people are kind of sick because their heads are so wrapped up in their own bullshit. Because that's what it is. They're wrapped up in their own like ideology, that their ideology means more to them than you. Now, in some situations, obviously that does matter. For example, I'm not going to be friends with any pedophiles. Like, I don't care how nice you are to me. We're never going to be friends. Never. It's just not happening. Or murderers. Like, I'm never going to be friends with a murderer. It's never happening. You know, those kind of things are one thing. But if it's something that's a political belief or a religion, and they're willing to, and they're not throwing it on you, then I don't see that being an issue. So those aren't really your friends, man. Fuck them. Marky says drug addiction. I'm serious. If we're talking about you or somebody else, I'm going to need more information on that. But if it's you, you got to have self-awareness to check yourself into rehab. You got to do it for your loved ones and for yourself. If it's somebody else, you got to get them to check into rehab. You know what I'm saying? And be supportive of them without being a validator and without being somebody who helps them. You don't want to be a pusher, for lack of a better term. I can't think of a better term than that. So, picking yourself from the ground and getting started again. I had to do that several times in my life. And really what it is, bro, is it's going to be you're going to naturally be able to do this because it's going to be your natural instinct to fight and to survive. You can't just lay around forever and wait for the world to come steamrolling over you. You have to eventually get up and go. And there might be different things that trigger that. It might be your own willingness to succeed. It might be children that you have. It might be your parents. It might be something, but something has to drive you to get up. Because you can't just let life kill you, bro. You got to roll over, get the fuck up, and go. So it's more so accepting the fact that A, I want to be in a better position and I got to do what it takes to get there. And B, how do I do it? That's the main thing. Of course, we're talking about in general here. Michael Brennan, I know who that is. Unloyalty and relationships cheating. If that happened to you, bro, you haven't told me, but look, if you've been cheated on, actually cheated on, not I think they were cheating or it's emotional cheating. No, actually, like, your spouse had sex or put their mouth on or whatever another person, a lot of times it's very hard to recover from. It really is, because the trust has been broken, and it's an ego bruiser. It hurts your self-esteem. It hurts the foundation of the relationship. It's a tough one, dude. It's tough. And if you have been cheated on and you want to end it with that person, you have every right to. And in theory, you have every right to. Like I said, in theory, it's actually a common thing, because you don't want to get abused. You want to find somebody who's going to love you unconditionally for you, and you never want to sell yourself short. Now, if you're willing to forgive that person for cheating and move forward with them and try to make the relationship work, things are going to have to change. They really are. And the reality is, you have to really forgive them. You can't hang on to that. And the problem is, too many people hang on to it because it preys on our insecurities. It's tough, dude. It's tough. Like, when someone cheats, it's tough, man. I might need a little bit more information to give you a straight answer, but that's my basic response. I don't know. The dangers and red flags of long distance relationships. That's gonna take a okay, time out. That's like its own video. All right, I can't go into too much detail here. Okay, I can't, because it's just we'll be here talking for another hour. But basically, yes, there's always gonna be danger of infidelity with long distance relationships, and that's how it is, because you're not with them all the time. But if you love them and you believe they're true, like, why would you be with somebody who thinks they're gonna cheat on you? Like, you obviously want to trust them. But if there are red flags, which there might be, you don't want to let your insecurities take control of you. You don't want to make it think there is a red flag when there's not. And a conversation needs to be had about it. Like, it really does. And also, with long distance, you have to plan to eventually not be long distance. You know what I'm saying? At some point, you're going to have to move in with her. She's going to have to move in with you. And that has to be discussed. Again, that's a topic for another video, because there's too much ground to cover on that one. John Hernandez, he talked about what happened with his mom passed away, and that sucks, because I talked about my parents dying. And you're right, people do take things for granted. So thank you for that. Talking about relationships. Again, I talked about them earlier, but I need more specifics about what it is you want me to talk about. So be a little bit more specific. When you watch this video, comment down below, give me more specifics. And I can tell, because that's like 50 videos right there. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot. Scott Smith, the pain of deep loss. I've done speakdoms where I've talked about the death of my brother and death of my parents. I've never lost a child. According to this video, you lost a child, and I don't even know what to say. I even wrote in here that I was so sorry, and I am sorry, because I've never felt that pain, but I've heard it's a very bad pain to feel. That being said, remember to mourn. Take time for yourself. Remember to mourn, and give yourself time. And it's not going to ever be healed 100%. You'll always have that scar, but it does get better over time. You know, it just, that's how human beings are. We're resilient like that. Like, I'm not saying you're going to be ever 100% again. I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass, but it does get a little bit better, because at least you can move on and find peace with it, you know. But it's still just something that, if you feel angry or you feel, jaded by that, I can't even blame you. I swear to God. And then the last thing is how to get coochie. I mean, well, you watch more of these videos. So anyways, I'll post this video sometime during the week. I thank y'all for checking out this little special Speakdom Q&A, I guess it is, over on this channel. And I'll do more of these as time permits, but I hope you enjoyed it. I really do. And if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments or on the Facebook post whenever I put this up. And yeah, hopefully you got something from it. I really appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.